So I'm just going to be going through the paper so that you can always go back to it and rewind if need be. Okay, so the first question, write 928 correct to the nearest 10. So obviously our hundreds are the 9s, our 10s is the 2. So we're going to look at 8, and because 8 is bigger than 5, it's going to round up. So we should have 930. Let me pick purple. I prefer that color. So the first one there is 930. The next question, write down a fraction that is equivalent to 7 over 9. Now, any fraction can work. I'm going to choose the next best thing by multiplying this by 2 over 2. You can multiply it by 3 over 3, 4 over 4, 5 over 5, all the way to infinity. It doesn't matter. 7 times 2 will give me 14. 9 times 2 will give me 18. You may be wondering why I chose 2 over 2 or 3 over 3 or 4 over 4. Simply because if I divide 2 by 2, it gives me 1. So it doesn't change the value of my fraction. I hope that's clear. Right, on to the next one. Work out minus 4 plus 6 times 3. So over here we apply our BODMAS, isn't it? So we put our brackets on the 6 times 3 because multiplication comes first. 6 and 3 will give us 18. And then we end up with minus 4 plus 18. This can be rewritten as 18 minus 4 to give us 14. And that's our answer there. Question number 4. Bobby records the number of days in a shop. Number of days a shop is open during 30 days. So those are the tallied days, and they want us to complete the table. So with our tallies, we just count the number of sticks that we have. Whenever they're bundled up like that, it means that we have 5. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, plus 1, 2, 3 to give us a frequency of 23. Now, if the shop was open for 30 days and during those 30 days, the days that were actually open were 23, it means that the days that were not open were 30 minus 23 to give us 7. And if we're going to draw that as a tally, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is going to cross it out, and then 6 and 7 like that. Right, the next question. Complete the statement. The diagram has a rotational symmetry of which order? Rotational symmetry is the number of times you can rotate a shape through 360 degrees. And as you rotate, you watch to see how many times it goes back to its original arrangement. In this case, it's going to go 2 times. So our diagram is going to have an order of rotational symmetry of 2. The next question on the diagram, draw all the lines of symmetry. So these are the lines, I like to call them cake lines, that will give us an even shape on each side. So this side, excuse that my lines are not perfect, I'm freehanding this. If I cut it along that diagonal, I'll get 2 even sides. You can see that the sides match up. And if I come back down this side as well, my 2 sides to match up. Those are the only lines of symmetry that I'm seeing, and I believe that that is correct. We'll move on to the next question. Write down the reciprocal of 16 as a decimal. Okay, so reciprocals, I remember we talked about this. This is an upside down number. So if I'm to write 16 as a fraction, it's 16 over 1. And then if I'm to flip it over, I will get 1 over 16. Now they want the answer as a fraction. So I am going to just quickly pop over to my calculator. 1 divided by 16, and that gives me 0.0625. Like that. Okay, going. The stem and leaf diagram shows the ages of 21 people, okay? And we have all that information given to us. Find the fraction of people who are more than 30 years old, okay? So our key is telling us where we have 1/6, that means we have 16 years. So for everybody that's above the age of 30, we are starting over here and compiling all of that. So we just simply count the numbers that we have on the leaves. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 14 people who are more than 30 years old. I'm just going to quickly remove that because we don't need it for our final answer. So we have 14 people that are 30 years old. Okay. The next one wants us to work out the range. The range would be highest minus the lowest. Okay. And in this case, our highest is 57 and our lowest is 16. So we will have 57 minus 16. Just going to try and squeeze it in at the bottom there. 57 minus 16 to give us a range of 41. Okay. I think we're making good progress. Now we need to find the median. The median is known as the halfway point between our figures. So with the median, the numbers have to be arranged from the lowest to the highest, okay, which has already been done for us. So what I would do, there's two ways to do it. You can either cancel out, or you can use a method that tells us that median would be equal to, for an even amount of numbers, in this case we have an even amount of numbers, it would be equal to halfway point of that. Okay, so the halfway point of 30, how many people do we have? Oh, we have 21 people, sorry. So our people are actually an odd number. So because they're an odd number, we say the number of people plus 1 divided by 2. And this value that we get is the median, is the position of the median number. So that will give us 21 plus 1 over 2, which is 22 over 2. If we divide that, it will give us 11. Now 11 is not the answer, but the 11th number is the median that we're looking for. So we start counting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so our median is actually 39 because it lies at 3 and 9. I'm just going to change the color for that one just so that we know that that is our obvious answer. Okay, let's move on to surface area. Now the area is the amount of space covered by a shape, okay? Surface area, it means we're adding together the area of all the faces of our shape. We know that this cuboid has 6 faces and those faces exist in pairs, okay? So there's a pair of each face. So we have this face here, that one, we have that one on the side, and we have that third one on the top. The top one matches with the bottom, the front one matches with the back one, and the two sides match up. So what am I going to do? I am going to start with my front face, okay? So for my front face, this one in purple, it matches with the back one as well. The area of that, the area of A, is equal to length times width, which is equal to 8 times 5, okay? And because I have two sides that are the same, I'm going to go on and say times 2 so that I can save on time. 8 times 5 will give me 40. 40 times 2 will give me 80, like that. Superb. Now we're going to move on to the next shape, or the next face rather, which I'm going to call B, and that is the side face. B also has another matching face on the opposite end, So B is equal to length times width again, which is equal to 3 times 5. And because we have two faces, we also multiply that by 2. And 3 times 5 is going to give us 15 times 2. That will give us 30. Okay. Our last pair of faces, we have C at the top there. And C matches with the face at the bottom. The dimensions for C are 8 centimeters and 3 centimeters. So C is equal to length times width, which is 8 times 3. And because it has a matching side at the bottom, we're going to multiply that by 2. 8 times 3, that's 24, times 2, that is 48. Now, finally, for us to get our final answer, we are going to add these figures together. 80 plus 30 plus 48. Just going to put a line there. That is going to give me 8. 8 plus 3 will give me 11, plus 4 will give me 5. So the surface area of this cuboid is 158 centimeters squared. You can go ahead and write that in the missing line there. Okay. Right, now we have a triangular prism. On the 1 square centimeter grid, draw a net of the prism. So I'm just going to flip the screen over so that I have everything in perspective. Maybe a bit smaller, but bear with me. Okay, there we go. So we are meant to draw the net of that prism. It's a triangular prism. It has 2 triangles and 1, 2, 3 rectangles. So I'm going to start with one of the bases, the base right at the set at the bottom, that one there. That's the one that I am going to draw first. That one is 4 by 2. So I gauge the rough center of my sheet, and then I'm going to give 2 centimeters. Oh, my pencil's off. I'm going to give 2 centimeters. This is going to be a bit tough because I have to be very precise. Okay, 2 centimeters for one side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters going down. Ooh, yeah, this is going to be tough, but we'll try. And then we're going to have the little rectangle meet like that. Now, obviously, when you're drawing in the exam, remember to use a ruler so that your lines are perfect. So I've done this bottom one. Now I'm going to go to this side there. That side is 2 centimeters by 4 centimeters again, and it's at the sides of the one that I've already drawn. So I'm going to put that at the bottom. So another 4 centimeters going down. Okay, we'll assume that is 4 centimeters. Then I'm going to do this one right there. Okay, I'm going to have it come from the other end. So we're going to have our 4 centimeters like so. And then finally I have my 4 by 4 triangles on either side. So I will have this just come to the center like that. And then this one come to the center like, oh, that is definitely not matching up. Again, it should match up. So let me sketch a bit better. Down to that corner and then up to that corner there. Okay, so this is what your net should look like. It could be facing whichever direction, but generally speaking, this is what we expect to get. But you can have the arrangement whichever way, as long as you have 2 triangles that have a base of 4 and a side of 4, and you have 3 rectangles, it will be perfectly acceptable. Okay, I'm going to flip back. Let's move on to number 5. Olga thinks that 87 is a prime number. Is Olga correct? And give a reason for your answer. Now, prime numbers are numbers that have only 1 and themselves as factors. Do we have any other factors of 87? If I divide it by 1, obviously it will work. 2 is not going to work. 87 divided by 3, I think that will work. Yes, it's 29. So because it has another factor of 3, it is not a prime number. No, because it has more than one factor. More than one factor. Like that. That is meant to be an O. Excuse my handwriting. Okay, we're going. Yay, time. Time gets me so excited because you taught me how to use a calculator to find time. I did not know that for as long as I existed, so that's really cool to know. But anyways, a film lasts for 2 hours and 50 minutes and the film ends at 23:05. Find the time that the film starts. So I'm going to work this out manually because obviously you need to see something on the screen, but you can go ahead and punch this into your calculator. So we have our hours and our minutes, and it ends at 23:05, okay? And it lasts for 2 hours and 50 minutes. So we're obviously subtracting that so we can find the starting time. Now 5 cannot subtract 50 because it's small. So I'm going to borrow an hour from here. That is going to become 22. And then that is going to become 65. I borrow my hour and change it to minutes so that my calculation works out. 65 minus 50 will give me 15. 22 minus 2 will give me 20. So this film starts at 20:15, or you can say at 8:15 p.m. if you're being more technical. Okay, we've moved on to geometry. This is an isosceles triangle. BAC is 38 degrees. AB is equal to AC. Find the value of x. Now we know that in an isosceles triangle, the base angles are even. So, and we also know that the inside angles of a triangle add up to 180. So the first step is to go 180 minus this 38 that we have over here, so that we find what B and C are together. So 180 minus 38, enter that into my calculator. That is 142. So it means that this angle here and that angle there together are 142 degrees. But we want just one of them. And because they are equal, base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal, it's 142 divided by 2 to give us 71 degrees. So that's our final answer there. X is equal to 71 degrees. Just 2 marks, relatively easy. By writing each number in the calculation correct to one significant figure, find an estimate for the value of that. Okay, so one significant figure means that we consider the first number that appears, the first whole number that appears. So that would give me 7 times 10 over 3 minus 1. Yes, 7 over 10 over 3 minus 1, which is 70 over 2, and that should give me 35. So when they say you must show all your working, you must show the steps that I have clearly shown there. That's how you get the full marks. For core, they really consider the marks. They really consider the working when giving out marks. Okay, I'm going to tilt this over again. The scatter diagram shows information about the time spent in a shop and the number of items bought. Which type of correlation is shown on the scatter diagram? So by inspection, by looking at this, we have a positive correlation. Why? As the number of items bought increases, so does the time increase as well. Or if we're to draw a line of best fit, it would lean towards the right. Any diagram that leans towards the right has a positive gradient or a positive correlation. Okay, describe the relationship between the time spent in the shop and the number of items bought. Okay, so as the time increases, more items are also bought. All right, I've just summarize that. But as the time increases, or the longer the time spent in the shop, the higher the number of items that are bought. The next one is asking us to draw a line of best fit. Yes, that is expected. Again, my line is going to be crooked because I am drawing this freehand, but the idea is to have your line as central as possible It should pass through any points if possible, but there must be some points on the top of the line and other points at the bottom of the line. So the line of best fit would look something like what I have sketched there. Straight and done with the ruler in pencil. Those are the rules of thumb. Okay, that's all for that question. Thought there was going to be more. Simplify d to the power of 8 divided by d to the power of 2. Laws of indices. When we are dividing and we have the same base, this is the same as saying d to the power of 8 minus 2, meaning that we're going to get d to the power of 6. Maddie changes 400 Swiss francs into dollars when the exchange rate is $1 is 0.913 Swiss francs. Work out how many dollars she receives. Okay. So if $1 is going to give us that many Swiss francs, for me to change my Swiss francs to dollars, I need to divide. So that is going to be 4,000 divided by 0.913. Back to my calculator. I cannot work that off here. 4,000 divided by 0.9. Okay, so I end up with 4,381 and 16. There, 4,381, 16, like that. I rounded it off. Okay, find the highest common factor of 32 and 120. When it comes to highest common factors, there's more than one way to kill a cat with this one. Some like to use prime numbers. I really like to just list out the factors and find out what we have in common. Okay, so the factors of 32 that I know are 1, 2, 4, 6 is not, 7 is not, 8, 16, and 32 itself. And the factors of 120, 1, 2, 3, 4, can I put 5 in there? Yes, I can. 6, 7, I can't. 8, I can. 120 divided by 8, yes, remainder 4. So 8, I can. 9, let's see. 120 divided by 9, I don't think so though. No, I can't. 10, yes, I can. 11, I can't. 12, I can. So I've hit 10 and 12, so now I am going backwards. 120 divided by 8, that gives me 15. 120 divided by 6, that gives me 20. 120 divided by 5, 120 divided by 5 gives me 24. Okay, 120 divided by 4 will give me 30. 120 divided by 3 will give me 40. 120 divided by 2 will give me 60. And 120 divided by 1 will give me 120 itself. So all of those are the factors of 32 and 120. Now I'm looking for the highest common factor there. So 16 is not going to work, but I think 8 is going to be our lucky number. Yes. So the highest common factor of those two numbers is 8. That's the biggest number that they both have in common. Right, the probability that Tom is late for school is 0.12. There are 200 school days in this year. Work out the expected number of times that Tom is late for school. Okay, so we have 200 days in the school year and a probability that Tom will be late 0.12 of those times. So we simply multiply 200 by 0.12. And that will give us 24. So he has a probability of being late 24 out of the 200 days. Next one, expand and simplify that. Okay, so I start with my x's. X times x will give me x squared x times 8 will give me plus 8x, okay? And then minus 5 times x will give me minus 5x. And then minus 5 times plus 8 will give me minus 40. I then reduce it or simplify it by grouping like terms. So I have x squared, 8 minus 5, that's 3. So minus 3x minus 40. And that is our final answer there. Okay, diagram shows a circle, center O, diameter AB. A, B, and C line the circumference of the circle. Write down the mathematical name of the line AC. Okay, AC is a chord. C-H-O-R-D. Find the value of x and give a geometrical reason for your answer. Okay, so what we have here are angles in a semicircle. If we look at our circle theorems, we know that any angle created by the diameter, which is our line AB, okay, and touches 2 points on the circumference will meet at 90 degrees. So that point C there is 90 degrees. So that means also, the next thing is that angles inside a triangle add up to 180. So paired with that information that one of the angles is 90, the other one is 32, we can find x simply by saying 180 minus, in brackets, 90 plus 32. And that should give us 180 minus 90, that's 90. 90 minus 32 is 58. So our angle x is 58 degrees. The geometrical answer that I would use there's two, but the best one here would be that angles in a triangle are equal to 180 degrees. When we add up the angles inside a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. Okay. A spinner has 5 sides. Each side is painted red, blue, green, yellow, or orange. The table shows some of the probabilities of the spinner landing on each color. Complete the table. When it comes to probability, we know that probability is between 0 and 1. So we're going to add up all of these, and whatever we get, we subtract it from 1. Okay, so 0.3 plus 0.16 plus 0.18 plus 0.25 is 0.89. So 0.3 plus 0.16 plus 0.18 plus 0.25 is equal to 0.89, like that. And because our probability exists between 0 and 1, we say 1 minus 0.89, and that will give us 1 minus 0.89, 1 minus 0.89, that will give us 0.11. That's the probability of having an orange color on the spinner. Okay, Dan spins the spinner once. Find the probability that the spinner lands on red or blue. Keyword here is or. When we see the word or in probability, it means that we are going to add our different probabilities. Now, the probability of landing on red is 0.3. The probability of landing on blue is 0.16. So if we add those two together, we get 0.46. That is the probability of landing on red or blue. We join the probabilities together. Okay, let's move on. Throat is getting dry. Vanessa invests 8,500 at a rate of 3.5% per year compound interest. Find the value of the investment at the end of the 6 years and give your answer to the nearest dollar. Now for this one, I don't have my scientific calculator, but I'm going to give you all the steps and then you just have to punch in for the final answer. Compound interest is equal to principal times 1 plus the rate over 100 raised to the power of time, okay? And if I substitute that, my interest is 8,500 times 1 plus, my rate is 3.5, so 3.5 over 100 to the power of 6. Now, if you punch that into your calculator as is with all the brackets, you should get your answer for the compound interest. Give it correct to the nearest dollar, so you just round it off to the nearest whole number. Okay, more grids. The diagram shows three shapes A, B, and C on a 1 centimeter square grid. Describe fully the transformation that maps A onto B. Okay, we have shape A and shape B. That is clearly a rotation. So I'm going to write that it's a rotation. And the next thing we need to include is the angle of rotation. It has moved once, so that is 90 degrees. And it has moved in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so it's moved against the direction of the clock hands. It's moved in that direction. Okay, so that's a rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise, and the center of rotation is this point there. That's the pivot that is moving our shape. You can see those 2 points are touching each other, and the coordinates of that point are -3, 3. Okay, at -3, 3, like that. So you can see there's 3 marks. You get 1 mark for mentioning that it's a rotation, another mark for mentioning that it's 90 degrees anti-clockwise, and the last mark for mentioning the center of rotation, which is -3, 3. And then we have number C that maps shape A onto shape C. Now that looks like it has moved, so it is a translation. So that's a translation. And for translation, you just have to tell us the translation vector, meaning by how much has it moved in the x-axis and how much has it moved in the y-axis. So I'm going to pick a point. I'm going to change my color so that we know that we're dealing with different things. I'm going to pick this point there. And I'm going to count how many boxes it has moved in the x-axis. So it has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 boxes in the x-axis. All right, and that is to the right, so it's positive. And then it has moved 1, 2 boxes down in the y-axis, so that's -2 because it has moved down. This means that my translation vector, so that's a translation with vector 7 -2, like that. Remember, we write our vectors as columns, the x value on top and the y value at the bottom. Okay, without using a calculator, work out that number there. Okay, so I'll start by adding my whole numbers. 5 plus 2, that gives me 7. And then I have 11 over 12 plus 2 and 1. No, sorry, plus 1 over 4 because I've already added the 5 and the 2. Plus 1 over 4, like that. Okay. For these guys in the brackets, I'm going to find a common denominator. In this case, it's 12. That is 11. 12 into 12 is 1. 12 times 11. Well, 11 times 1, sorry, is just 11. And then 12 divided by 4, that's 3. 3 times 1 is just 3. So here I have 11 plus 3. So I'm going to end up with 7 plus 11 plus 3 over 12, which translates to 7 plus 14 over 12. Now 14 over 12 has a whole number in there. I can subtract 12 over 12 from there. So I'm going to put a bracket again and then subtract 12 over 12, which is a whole number, to give me 7 plus 1, the whole number that I've borrowed here. Okay, it's going to become a 1. 12 divided by 12 will give me 1. So 7 plus 1 plus our fraction, which is now 14 minus 12, that's 2 over 12. So finally, if I add my whole numbers together, let me change my color maybe. If I add my whole numbers together, I will have 8, and my fraction will give me 1/6. So finally there I will have 8 and 1/6. That is my answer. And it's asking for a mixed number, so that is it. That is my mixed number. Okay, in this question, both lengths are in centimeters and it's not to scale. The diagram shows two lines, AB and CD. The length of AB is that one. The length of CD is that one. Line AB is 3 times as long as line CD. Work out the value of X. Okay, so AB is equal to 3 times the length of CD. Then I substitute. My AB is 10x minus 12, okay? It's equal to 3 times, in brackets, 2x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to simplify my right side. 3 times 2, that's 6x. 3 times 3, that's plus 9, okay? All of this being equal to 10x minus 12. Then I'm going to group the like terms together, all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So this 6 is going to come this side and this 12 is going to go that side. So I'm going to have 10 minus 6 is, oops, I'm forgetting the x's, it's very important. 10x minus 6x is equal to 9 plus 12. Notice that when the numbers travel across the equal sign, their values also change. Okay, I'm going to move this to the side. 10 minus 6 will give me 4x. 9 plus 12 will give me 21. Yes, that will give me 21. 2x plus 3, 3 times 2, that's 6, 3 times 3, that's 9, 10 minus 6, that is 4. You just do the 9 plus 12. Sometimes the math escapes. Yes, 9 plus 12 is 21, so we're in the right path. So 4x is equal to 21. If we want to find the value of x, we divide both sides by 4, so x is 21 divided by 4. And that is 5,25. Value of x is 5,25 centimeters. Okay, don't forget the centimeters. And that brings us to the end of our paper with quite some time to spare. It took me exactly 38 minutes, which is great. Hope you find it helpful. If you still have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll be sending in the next one soon.